Hey everyone, what's up? This is Simon back with a new video on using Ionic in combination with WordPress. So like the whole internet is powered by WordPress, I don't know, like 60-80%, maybe something like this. But as WordPress has a great REST API since version whatever, it is now the standard and we can use it from our Ionic application. And if you want to build apps for your clients that already have an existing WordPress application, WordPress backend, that's perfect situation, because we will see how to load the posts from our WordPress instance and how to display the details for the post, and in general get an idea how to work with a WordPress API. So let's do this. I've already created my blank new application and added 2 more pages and the service. I also removed the homepage already. And then once you get all of this in place, we can head over to our app module and add the HTTP client module from Angular, because we will not use any other library. So previously we used the WordPress API whatever library. That is more or less a dead library. It is not maintained anymore. So we will simply make everything on our own using our WordPress service. No problem. Also, we have to change our routing a bit, or the routing a bit. The homepage is not needed anymore, so we only got the posts page. And then if we want to navigate to a child, we also use posts / with the ID of the post. There are other ways to pass the information. We will talk about that later as well. For now, I just wanted to bring up this, exactly, that was the library we used in the previous version of this video. But I think in one of the issues, support for Angular 7, I think, is this project that, it is that you can fork it. So that's the reason why I came up with this new post, because the old post was pretty famous. So as always, please make sure to give the video a like right now in the beginning, and also subscribe to the channel if you're not yet, in order to receive notifications about the latest videos, Tuesday code, Thursday vlog and talking and whatever. So fresh content every week. Okay. Let's head over to our WordPress service for now, and let's add a few variables. So I will simply use my own devtactic block, and with this call we will actually, if we can bring up some browser, is there some browser? We will actually get a lot of data. Please not make this request, everyone watching this video, thanks a lot, you're killing my server. Then we also need the HTTP client, of course, not like this. It's not the HTTP client module, but actually the auto import is then coming through. So what we want to do is we want to get posts, and we also want to get post content. Actually, we could pass the object through, but that's another story. So to get the post, we can basically make a very simple GET request using this .http get, and this will actually return an array. So a few options that we will define come before, and then we will pipe the result. Basically, you just have to append posts to the URL to get the posts, and by using embed, we get some more information, especially the post image, which was in the previous post another call that we had to make. So if you append this, we can actually get the post image from the result that we get, which is pretty cool. Now, another problem is how many results do you want to get? So this can be a bit slow. So if you put into the params something like per page 5, that means you only load 5 at once, which is okay. Maybe use 10, whatever you prefer. And then you can also use a page parameter, which should in the beginning be 1. So let's use page, and the default value is 1. And we also need to make sure it is a string. So simply convert it like this to a string. Now if we make the request the first time, we will get the page 1 with 5 results and so on. Then we will get the second page. And actually, is this killing? No, that should work great. Had just a quick moment of problem in my head. But a bigger problem is that we're not getting the information about how many posts exist. And to solve that, we can do the following. So first of all, this will now look very strange. It did to me as well. The problem is we want to pass to observe response. Because if we pass observe response, we will actually get back a lot more information in the map block than we do usually. So map, of course, comes from RxJS operators. And normally we get the data of the body back in here. But now we would get back everything. The problem is that there's a TypeScript issue that expects observe to be body. And therefore we need to say response as body. Looks strange, but it works. Found this somewhere in the internet, had a great laugh. Anyway, it works. And now, once you get this is not the same data like usually. This data now contains the header fields, and in the header fields of our response, we can get the WordPress total pages and the WordPress total posts. So that's what we got defined up here. So when we make this call, we will get this information and we can then later use it. You could use it for pagination in like a classic web application. We will actually use infinite loading in our case. So then you can also get the data, of course, from our response body like this. And the problem now is that we need the image of each post. So let post of data and finally return data, of course. But the image is buried so deep down that I just transform it right here and set it to media URL. That field doesn't exist, so it's something I just added to the object because I don't want this to be all the time inside my views. I just like to have it then in media URL. We could change it here in one place, no problem. But that's the reason why I came up with this post media URL. Nope, not going to call now. So to get the post content, basically the same functionality. Now we only append the ID of the post to the call, and we're resolving the URL to the image, so it's a bit easier to access it in the page later as well. Okay, great. We got the WordPress service, we got the app routing in place, which means we can now finally, let's serve our application and head over to the posts page. So posts and post page. And the good thing is we now just need the basic functionality in here to retrieve our data. So let's call this, actually we can just keep it in here, I think. Okay, we need a private loading controller. Thanks, Ionic. Always appreciate it if I lose the focus of my field. Yeah, maybe let's just go over there. We need the loading controller, please, loading controller, thanks. And of course, our very own WordPress service. So we just implemented only the post loading, but I think you get the idea of how you get basically every information from your WordPress API. It is always the same simple calls. Okay, can we say async ng on init? Oh yes, we can. Cool. So we should display a little loading, and then we call our WordPress API get posts, subscribe. We don't need to pass any information in the beginning because the default value for the page is 0. So no, of course not this, but posts. The page is one oh, caution, WordPress expects the page to be 1, so it's not starting at 0. Sorry about the confusion, but that's a WordPress thing, not my fault. So once we get back the information, we can of course set our own posts to the result, but we can also set our, let's say, counter. What's that? I don't want it to be like that. To WordPress total posts. We will not use the pagination really in here a lot. I will just use it for a load more functionality, and in here we will always increase the page by 1 so we can then load new data. So this will be called once in the beginning, and we will use infinite loading, as I said, and that means once we hit the end of a list, a function will be triggered, and we will pass in this infinite loading component and then try to load for the next page. So that means we need to increase the page, we need to show a loading controller, and then we want to get posts using the current page number. So we will then get, again, 5 posts, and we don't have to set our count again. But what we want to do is we set our own posts to the content of this.posts and the content of result. So by using the spread operator, I think it's the spread operator, we basically append all the objects that are in the array into this. So what this is in the end, we're combining like these arrays with each other. Okay, why do I explain this right now? I don't know. So that would be the result of using it like this. Okay, hope that makes sense. Just want to clarify it. I get questions like this about basic things, so I think it's okay to save time sometimes. So then we need to event target complete, which will end the loading animation on the infinite loading. And also if this.page equals this.WordPress pages, in that case we should actually call event target disabled true to completely disable the infinite loading on the page, because we can't load any more results. So now for the view, actually I want to bring in some information because I don't want to type all of this. What is going on? Of course, for the header we need the primary color, and then we want to log out the actual post count just to see if we got the connection to WordPress right. Then we will use an Ion card, and oh, this actually a bit too long. So we will iterate over all our posts, and you see this in 2 places that we use inner HTML. And we use inner HTML because the post title rendered, and we should log this out just for seeing what's going on. You will see that the information actually contains HTML characters, and we need to render them. And if you simply print them out, you will have very strange characters in the title, and by using inner HTML you can immediately use the HTML and render it in the tag. So then we got the date pipe, no problem. We got the image using our very own media URL, so otherwise you would have this very long string of information in here. Again, inner HTML, and for the button we use the Angular router to go to our post page using the ID of the post. And now if we hit refresh, we should actually see something, and this looks better if we make the screen a bit smaller. So that is not yet web optimized. That is left to the reader to build a cool website view of your application or of the didactic blog. We're not hiding the loading, are we? Who wrote this code? Very poor. Bad. Not recommended. Wouldn't work with that person again. So in the background we can already see the information, and one thing that I noted after creating this video, and I haven't found actually why, is that the excerpt that is shown right here is one, not the one that fits to this article, and two, keep in mind sending emails, and now for a long time. It is actually different if I reload the information. I don't know what's going on. So I really have no idea. Maybe you can let me know what is going on. Everything else is completely right, like the title, the image, the date, and even if I go into it later, we will see it's correctly, but the information here about the excerpt, it is definitely wrong. That is not the excerpt of that article. I don't know. So as you can see, that would be the right excerpt, like your favorite text combination is back, but that's not the excerpt. Perhaps it's some caching issue, I don't know. Anyhow, you see, you get a lot of data from the API back, and here also in the embedded, you will somewhere find the image, media, whatever. I don't want to find this now, but we have set it right here to the media URL. So now we got this nice little page, and once we hit the bottom, we see that we haven't implemented the infinite loading yet. So let me bring in the infinite loading component, which looks like this. Simply add the infinite scroll and a little threshold. Let's use, I don't know, 300. And then the functionality added to Ion Infinite, which will call the load more function that we define using event. So we can disable the bubbles and the loading animation. You can actually set the text as well inside for the infinite scroll content, and then it looks a bit different. So we load the initial 5 posts of 151, and once we come close to the bottom, we see that we got loading more posts. Actually, we don't need the loading in here, right? Or what do you think? I think that's like using it twice. So now we reload. And also one thing you note is that loading 5 posts actually already takes some time. So if you load like 50, that will take a lot more. But now we see the infinite loading and you see my bar. If I get close to the bottom, oh, come on. Yeah. If I get close to the bottom, we shouldn't assign the page, but check the page. So that's the reason maybe it only works once, but good thing we have now checked that the disable functionality also works. And now we can happily scroll through all the old posts and see them. Okay, cool. As I said, maybe also implement pagination would be a cool example. I don't know what component you can use for it, but in a normal or general web page, you would have like the pagination at the top or the bottom with all the pages. So I would love to see your examples on that. But now to finish off this video, we head over to our post page in which we need to first of all retrieve the ID, which we can find in the current route. So inject the activated route and also the WordPress service, and then ng on init. We can get the ID, and then we can also call the service again, get post content for the ID. Hope that is not too fast, but that's the cool thing about using a service like this and implementing it upfront. Once you're in the page, everything becomes pretty easy. So let's use a post any, and then this dot post equals the result of the API. The thing is here that the result from get post content is actually pretty much the same like the object we had before. So at that point, we could also pass the whole object to the next page using the state of the routing, which I've shown, I think, in another video on this channel. But the problem is then you end up on the new page and you have no link. It will still be posts or however you want to call it, and then you refresh the page and everything's gone and nothing works. But by using the ID, we can actually start on that page and immediately get the content for it. So that's why I would still recommend using the ID approach in here. And also I will just do this to get a little bit of functionality in that view. And because the view is very boring as well, let's just quickly open it and replace the stuff. Make sure that you got the Ion buttons and back button defined so you can navigate back and forth. Then we got the title rendered. Actually, again, the same problem with inner HTML, but I haven't seen a problem in here yet. Maybe because the title is shown just a few characters. And then in the post, again, the media URL. Again, we transformed this, so don't expect the media URL to be in the general WordPress response and the content. And a footer with a little open original button. So now you see we can actually reload this page, which was previously complete blank. And now we're on that page. We resolve the ID. We get the information from the API and boom, there's our page. And we can also open the original going to our Ionic 4, Firebase, whatever tutorial right here. So we can go back, and because we haven't been there, it will actually trigger the ng on init. So now we can go through our great posts that we have also on the website. So of course, I know they exist. You can trust me. All of them are the same, like on my blog page, 10 tools, whatever, Ionic offline mode. And then you go to read more. You will be on the next page and you see the whole content for the post. Looks actually quite okay if you make it a bigger screen. So just a few tweaks here and there and you're good to go. Well, we can discuss about that. Don't really need to read next plugin. But anyhow, I think our Ionic WordPress reader is working so far. So that's how to connect your Ionic 4 application to WordPress using the WordPress REST API, which makes it super simple to retrieve all information. You could also now use like the pages and display a cool side menu. You can use the tags and categories. All the information that is contained in WordPress can be somehow displayed inside your Ionic application. And if you enjoyed this video, as I said already, please give me a like and also subscribe. I'm on a quest to 100,000 subscribers, so every subscriber counts and I would be super happy. Of course, check out the other videos if you're into Ionic or in general software development on this channel, and then I'll catch you inside the next one.